So, I just finished watching Apple's WWDC live press conference, and they came out with products after products, and then of course we have iOS, iPadOS. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's begin. But yet again, Apple remains with the pre-recorded presentations, which I love the transitions and everything, but I would love to see the live audience reaction. When they revealed the Apple Reality Pro headset, everybody clapping, the reactions and everything like that. Hopefully Apple will go back to that sometime in the foreseeable future, maybe for the iPhone event. The first thing Apple talked about, they didn't waste no time with this one, the Mac. They revealed the MacBook Air 15-inch, so essentially it's the same thing like the 13-inch model, but just a bigger screen, coming in at 15-inch. Still the same M2 chip. You have a bigger battery since it's a bigger chassis. You have a louder speaker, but essentially it's the M2 MacBook Air that you all know and love. But what surprised me is the pricing lineup. So of course we have the M1 MacBook Air, which is still around at $1,000, and you have the M2 13-inch MacBook Air, which was the one that we got last year. They brought down the price to $1,100. I was not expecting that. That's the starting price, by the way. And the brand new 15-inch MacBook Air is coming in at the same price as the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air at $1,300. I think that's a pretty good deal, although you can go into the Apple Certified Refurbished and pick up an M1 Max MacBook Pro if you want a little bit more GPU power, but nonetheless, I was kind of surprised with that. And then right after that, that's when we got the Mac Studio refresh, which there were rumors pointed towards Apple canceling that project due to the similarities to the Mac Pro, being with the M2 Ultra chip, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So the Mac Studio, which is coming in with that M2 Max chip and as well as the M2 Ultra chip. Prices still remains the same and it's going to be available next week. Now, I wanted to pick up the Mac Studio originally, but as you can see, I have my M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro and I can hook it up to my external monitor and use it as a desktop, but needless to say, I'm probably still going to make a video on the M2 Mac Studio. Stay tuned for that. Finally, Apple revealed the Mac Pro with the M2 Ultra chip. Now, I kind of scratched my head because they put the same exact M2 Ultra chip that's found on the Mac Studio M2 Ultra chip, and they just put it onto the Mac Pro. You give it a little credit with the Mac Pro, you have the PCIe slots and you have more expandability, but we gotta wait and see all the testing and the benchmarks and things like that. But it's nice to see the entire Mac lineup with Apple Silicon. And of course, it wouldn't be WWDC without its software. Starting off with iOS 17, this was a little bit of a disappointment for me. We didn't see split screen multitasking. I was expecting maybe a slight redesign, considering that iOS 7 brought a redesign. This is iOS 17 now. So we didn't get a major overhaul, but there's some features that I did like, such as the name drop. Let's say, for example, you meet somebody, you're having a great conversation, and you'd be like, hey, take my number down. Now you got to open up the phone app, then maybe try to make the phone call to save the contact, or go into the contacts app and then press the plus. You don't have to do all that. If that person has an iPhone, you hover over the two iPhones together and you could be able to see each other's contact. And then you just tap on share and you could be able to share contacts more efficiently. Standby mode is going to come in handy if you use your iPhone as an alarm clock. So it's going to give you a beautiful clock animation, beautiful clock faces and themes, and you can see what's playing. You could control the lights in your room, and then we have some hidden features such as the passcode authenticator. So if you get those one-time passcodes to enter into your bank account or to your mail or any account, now it's going to recognize it for emails, which is pretty cool. But iOS 17 was okay. And then on the FaceTime app, you can now leave video voicemail. At first, I thought this was silly, but it makes a lot of sense. Let's say you have a really important FaceTime call, or now you could be able to send video voicemail to that person to indicate that, okay, I need to take this FaceTime call, it's important. And Apple just completely overhauled the phone app. It just looks more beautiful. So anytime you receive a phone call, everything just looks beautiful. It looks exactly like your iOS lock screen, but now you have your Memoji or your contact photo. It looks pretty beautiful to look at, I would say. And you have the same exact fonts as your lock screen. So it's nice to see that the lock screen design is carrying over to other elements to iOS, which is a nice thing. And that leads into iPadOS 17, which is going to bring the lock screen widgets that we saw last year on the iPhone onto the iPad. So all your widgets are on the left side, and you can now interact with your widgets on your home screen. Still no calculator app, which was pretty disappointing. considering that we got the weather app last year. I cannot stand downloading a calculator app on the App Store. Then you have to worry about ads and everything like that. So please, Apple, maybe on iOS 17.1, we could see the calculator app on the iPad. And then with macOS, we have Sonoma. This was interesting to see how Apple reveals the name for all of the Mac OSs, and this one here was no exception. So really cool name. It rolls off the tongue nicely. Sonoma. But nonetheless, it didn't really bring that much changes anyway. You have your game mode, which I don't game on Mac OS, so this is not going to really matter to me. Although I see myself probably making a game test on the Mac, maybe with the Mac Studio when I get that in the studio. But I don't really see myself gaming on the Mac too often, considering that I have a PS5, an Xbox Series X, and a Nintendo Switch, and even a gaming PC on the other side. So I don't really see myself using that too much. But you can be able to place widgets onto the desktop. I don't really use widgets on macOS too often. And then I see that they have a brand new lock screen redesign that reminds me a lot like the iPad or even the iPhone, which looks beautiful on macOS. And you have the video wallpapers. Looks good, but it's not like a major leap, or it's not like it's like, whoa, this is incredible. So yeah, I like the name, but the feature wise, nothing too crazy going on here. But the star of the show, the coup de grace, the one more thing, the Apple VR headset, which Apple is calling it Vision Pro. Apple took a significant amount explaining every little detail about this headset, and this is a big deal. Like, I love when Apple reveals new products, something that's entirely new. It just gets you pumped up. Can't wait to test it out. Like, you want to see it in action. And wow, Vision Pro is absolutely incredible. First and foremost, I don't even know where to begin with this one. Let's start off with the actual display. You essentially have a 4K display on each eyeball, bringing it up to over 20 million pixels. So this is gonna be beyond sharp. This is more than a Retina display. This is an XDR display. No, it's not even an XDR display at that point. Looking at the user experience, just seeing the Vision OS in action, seeing the icons float in midair, and then you even have the shadows of each UI casting onto the real life. And in terms of the controls, you're using the gestures of your hand. So if you see a window, you can actually enlarge it by moving your hand. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to really work, or how accurate it's going to be. And then even so, you can open up multiple windows, because essentially your entire vision is the screen. It's so much that you can make an iPad bigger. So having something like the Vision Pro, having it even bigger, expand the canvas even further. You even have support for spatial audio. You can even FaceTime on this thing, which I'm still trying to figure out how you're going to be able to FaceTime, how somebody on the other side is going to see how you're going to look like. But digging through the website and even watching the keynote, which I didn't pay attention to this part, because you have Optic ID. This is going to scan your optics, your iris on your eyeballs, and it's going to be able to see the headset is going to be able to recognize your face. So when you're talking to somebody or somebody's nearby, they can essentially see your eyes and see your vision to let you know that I'm paying attention to you. But then when they're not onto the frame, or maybe if you're watching a movie or something, the technology on this is it's jaw-dropping, man. If you was never a fan of VR or augmented reality, you might not like this, but I think Apple always has a way of doing things differently. Because you might look at this as another Oculus or a PlayStation VR, but Apple is taking it a step further. I think this is going to be a pretty revolutionary device. When it comes out to the public, we got to wait and see how the general public is going to react to this, or if they're going to actually use it. And you know what? Apple used this example. You could buy the top of the line TV, mini LED, a sound system, but you're still not going to have the same exact experience as a Vision Pro. I want to see it for my eyes. I want to see it within my eyes and actually experience it. I have the PlayStation VR 2, I have the Oculus Quest, I even have the Nreal, but the major hurdle with this is that price tag being at $3,500. In terms of release date, the Vision Pro will be available early next year, which isn't a long time, because considering that 2023, we halfway done within the year already, which is bizarre. But this WWDC has me hungry for more information about Vision Pro. How's the sound quality? How's the setup? Or even so, how's the battery life? Because you can take this out on the plane. Let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think about Vision Pro. that price tag, that eye-watering $3,500 price tag, plus tax, Apple Care potentially, maybe if you want a case. You're gonna need maybe a case if it comes with it already. And that's another thing too. How's the unboxing experience is gonna be? But we gotta just wait and see. Only time will tell. Until next time, guys, I hope you guys all have a simple day. Peace.